Hi guys, it's DLX Dots here. My name is Dotun. I am here to talk to you, to share some knowledge about car financing. And obviously I know the topic already says I'm going to talk about car financing, but I want to break it down for everyone. And you want to buy a really nice car. What we want to talk about here are the options that you have with buying a vehicle, and sometimes just because you have the cash doesn't mean you should just go and buy the vehicle. And I'm not saying you should go for a cheaper vehicle or go for a more expensive vehicle. It's more about how do you buy the car rather than why are you buying the car. No one cares about why you're buying the car. If you want to buy a car, you buy a car. I support you and you do that. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to those people that have watched my videos before, that have subscribed. You know, you guys are like the best people ever, because it's that kind of 1+1 subscriber that you like to see, that basically makes you think, okay, well, I'm gonna do more of these videos. It makes sense to do these videos. And then you also kind of think about the people that are watching these videos. Yes, they haven't subscribed, but the views I get from these videos make me think, yeah, let's do another one. We'll keep going and we'll see what goes on. So thank you everyone for watching the videos. If you haven't subscribed and this is your first time, welcome to the crew. It's the DLX crew. And you know, I'm gonna give you guys a name, why not? So we're gonna talk about the 4 different forms of financing a vehicle. And these are the main forms of financing a vehicle. It's not essentially like, oh, this is Bible. It's not, you know, I'm not saying that there's no other way of financing a vehicle, but these are like the 4 main ones. So the first one is personal loan, or kind of using a credit card. And then the second one is hire purchase. The third one is PCP, and the last one is PCH. So PCP stands for personal contract plan, and PCH stands for personal contract hire. So let's start from the top. The first option that you have when you're buying a vehicle is obviously using a personal loan. So you can, you know, most people don't really pay cash for a car, and there's various reasons why you shouldn't do that, but we're gonna go on to people that really need to finance the vehicle. We're not really talking about people that have the money available. So with personal loans, you can basically shop around. So that's a massive pro. You can go online and shop around for a very long time thinking, okay, well, these guys are offering me 0%, you know, for the first 12 months. These guys are offering me 3%. I don't know what these guys are offering me. Let's check it out. So that's the difference. You can kind of look about and see what people offering me, what is my best option, and that's what's great about personal loan. You can get it from anyone. You're not limited to what the person at the the car company is telling you. You don't have to listen to what they're saying, because you're able to look through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people trying to borrow you money. We're not going to talk about how you can do it. We're going to talk about which ones should you go for. Hence why I haven't researched what the different credit brokers are. But in essence, what I'm trying to say here is you've got more flexibility. It's a lot cheaper usually, and the last pro is basically the fact that you've got more control over how long you can take the contract for. Shopping around is really easy to do. You can go online and basically call the bank and say, what's your best interest rate you can offer me, and how much can you actually borrow me. You know, you don't always have to borrow all the money required to buy the car. So if you're buying a £20,000 car, you could borrow 15,000 if you already have 5,000, stuff like that. Basically is what I'm trying to say. You can basically apply online as well, so it's quite easy to do. You can apply online or phone the bank, and sometimes obviously you can, you know, go into the bank face to face. But in Corona times, it's really Corona friendly in the terms of you can apply online or you can call someone at the bank. What are the cons? Obviously, if you borrow quite a large amount of money to buy your vehicle, the major con of that is the fact that you may be limited in how much you can borrow next time. So when I say next time, I don't mean when the money, you've finished paying the money. I mean, like, if a situation comes up where you've borrowed £20,000 from the bank and then you need another 10,000, they might say no. It depends on your credit rating. It depends on how much your credit limit is. So you need to be very careful. Obviously, it doesn't really mean that you won't be able to borrow money at all, because you can always get money as long as you're willing to pay the high interest rates or higher interest rates, someone will give you money, or unless you've got a really bad credit rating. So those are the kind of things going on there. The second con is the fact that the monthly costs are usually higher. So obviously, because you're not paying a lot of interest, and you're not going to be spreading it out for 6 years, obviously you can, but in most cases it will be a shorter personal loan, and the percentage is lower in terms of interest rate, so you'll be paying a higher monthly payment, and usually it's a lot higher than your PCP or your hire purchase. But obviously you end up owning the car at the end of it. The next one we're going to talk about is hire purchase, and hire purchase is basically for that person who doesn't have the cash outright, and potentially someone who is looking to buy a vehicle and doesn't want to go through the hassle of shopping around for different credits and stuff like that. So if you just want to go to the car shop, you'd really love that car, and you don't want to go through the hassle, hire purchase is great. And obviously you need to know that you want to keep the car. So if you want to keep the car and you want to eventually own the vehicle at the end of the monthly payments, then the hire purchase is perfect for you. Why would someone go for the hire purchase? So first of all, the hire purchase is really easy to arrange. You literally could walk into Arnold Clark or Car Giant or any of the online or brick and mortar stores that sell cars. Anywhere you go, most option, the most common option is usually hire purchase, especially with used vehicles as well. Hire purchase is quite popular because people just want to be able to buy the car, maybe because they can't afford the cash, to put down. So with hire purchase, it's a great option. It's really easy. That's the first pro. The second pro is you only need a low deposit, so usually it's about 10%. So if you're buying a car of £20,000, £2,000 is enough as a deposit to put down. Obviously, there are some companies, car companies that are offering discounts, and they may say we will take £500 off the deposit for something else. They can give you those offers, but typically I'd expect 10% as a deposit. So with hire purchase as well, the payment terms are usually quite flexible, so you can choose usually between 12 months to 60 months. So I will go through hire purchase a little bit more after talking about the pros and cons, but the other pro is definitely that fact that you've got the flexibility of how long you want to pay it. With hire purchase as well, sometimes you can get some good interest rates, so it depends on where you go, and obviously it depends on what car company you go through. Lots of car companies have different options in terms of credit brokers, people that will give you money, and they kind of do a risk assessment based on how much you earn and things like that, and they will borrow you up to a certain amount. And obviously if it meets it, then the car company will say, okay, we can use this person, and you will then they will basically buy the car on your behalf whilst giving you credit. So the hire purchase thing makes sense that way. The first con of hire purchase is you don't tend to own the car until the final payment. So obviously you can do whatever you want with the car, as long as you make the final payment. That's the point of that. So you don't actually have to, let's say you took the car for 5 years, you don't have to have paid for till the 60th month before you can do whatever you want with the car. You can essentially do whatever you want as long as you keep paying the money. So they don't really care what you do with the car. However, they would prefer you didn't sell the car. If you decide, okay, you no longer want the hire purchase, you can call the finance company up and ask for a settlement fee. So this settlement fee is a sum of money that you have to pay to basically meet them at the point where they're happy for you to basically sell the car and do whatever you want. So that settlement fee usually is a sort of the total amount of money that you need to pay, minus the interest that you've kind of sort of rebate of interest. So they take that off, and then you then have to bring the money to them. So obviously if you want to sell the car and they tell you the settlement figure is £8,000 left, then what you would do is you would basically sell the car for about £10,000, and then you get £2,000 and they get the £8,000. So you can sort of get some money back that way, because it's not worth it usually giving them the car back, because there's also a point with hire purchase where if you've paid up to a certain amount of time, there's a midway point where the company is willing to take the car from you, and you don't have to ever pay anything again. It's basically a point where they're happy for you to give them back the car, and you've paid about half of it. So that's quite an interesting thing as well. A lot of people don't know that they have this option, but it's not an option that they want to kind of talk about, because it's a sort of based on the contract rather than, oh, you can just do this. That's not what it's for. The hire purchase is ideally for you to pay till the end and you own the vehicle. With PCP, a lot of people probably know what a PCP is. It's quite straightforward in the sense of you can basically buy the vehicle and walk away. It's quite an easy way to do things, and what really happens is you get the vehicle and you don't own the vehicle. You pay lower monthly costs though. So typically if you bought like a £20,000 car and the monthly payment over 5 years was £400 a month, what you would end up paying if you did a PCP for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years is a lot less than that. So with the PCP, obviously because you don't own the car, you've got that option. But when you think about the total cost, if you include the balloon payment with the PCP, then it can be higher than even sometimes a higher purchase option because of that balloon payment. So let's talk about the pros and cons. With the PCP, what you find is you've got a low deposit to pay. You've also got low monthly payments. So it's a really good thing with the PCP that people have basically taken this opportunity massively, because you can walk into a car garage and buy a car for £300 a month, and you've only left a deposit of £300. So with £600 you can walk away with a £20,000 car. So it's really interesting that you can do that, and obviously the finance companies are laughing and the car companies are laughing because it's a great deal for everyone. It's sort of a win-win because you don't have to have lots of money in cash to buy this vehicle. So PCP is great for. With PCP, it's similar payment terms. It's usually between 12 months to 60 months. You have the option, so you can basically, at the end of the PCP, let's say you did a 36-month contract, at the end of that you can basically go to the garage and say, yo, can I please get another car? Can I get a Land Rover? Can I get a whatever it is? And they will say, okay, well, you only need to pay this extra per month and that's it. Walk away with a new car. And that's a great feeling for some people, because you can kind of change your car every 3 years and you never have to worry about anything else and stuff like that, which is great. And then it also gives you the option of, let's say you had £10,000 cash in your account, and after you did the 3 years of PCP, they then tell you, okay, you've got to pay £10,000 lump sum. So then you can go, okay, well, how much is a car worth? Is it worth 10,000? And if it's yes, then there you go, bravo, buy the car. And then you can keep your car, and then it becomes your car. But until that point, it's still the car of the garage company. It's not your car until you pay off that balloon payment. The major con of the PCP is that you've got limited mileage. So this means that when you're paying, when they basically give you a contract, they say to you, okay, it's £300 per month. However, you have to be within 10,000 miles or 8,000 miles, depending on what you've agreed, per annum. And if you do more than that, there's usually a charge. Sometimes it's 7p, sometimes it's 8p, sometimes it's 4p per mile. And that can accumulate really quickly if you do a lot of miles. So just be careful with that. When you get to the three-year period or 4-year period at the end of the contract and you want to return the car, if there's any tears and any tear and wear, or if there's any scratches, anything that kind of makes it look less than the value, they can certainly charge you. So they're allowed to do that, and sometimes you can contest on what the issue is, but ideally they want it in a really good condition. So, but the disadvantage of this is you don't really know what condition they're expecting it at. So some garages can be a bit sneaky with that, and obviously you just need to make sure that if you're going to use the car for 3 years, you need to make sure it's taken care of, and you wash it and you clean it and you make sure it's tidy, and if there's any scratches you can make sure you repair it before you give them back. If not, you could be paying some premium for fixing anything. So the last one we're going to talk about is personal contract hire. Personal contract hire is basically the same thing as personal contract plan. The main difference, however, is you never get to own the vehicle with personal contract hire, and the other difference is the cost of personal contract hire is higher than the cost of personal contract plan. And the reason for this is because with personal contract hire, you have the service and maintenance included in the monthly cost. So that's the pro and cons there for you. So the pros and cons are pretty much similar to your PCP, but obviously the cons is you never get to keep the car. The pro is the fact that you also don't have to worry about any extra costs like servicing and maintenance, because it's included in the value of the monthly payment. But obviously it will be higher, so you have to kind of do your calculation. So what do I have in terms of what is my car? Let's talk about my car. So I have a BMW 420d. It's a really lovely car. I bought it in January 2020. I've had it for over a year now, and as you can imagine, I haven't really done many mileage because of COVID. But luckily I've driven it enough, and I love it, and I want to keep it. But what did I do? How did I buy my car? I bought my car through hire purchase. And why did I buy hire purchase? Because I didn't really realize that you could get a credit card and do 0% and pay it off quicker than you could. So that's why I did hire purchase. I knew I wanted to keep the car, and I knew I wanted to use the car for 4 to 5 years, or even longer sometimes, or even longer, maybe, who knows. But with the vehicle, I just didn't realize that I could do a credit card type thing where they give you 0% interest for the first 2 years, that kind of stuff. But I did have the cash to pay the vehicle off, most of it anyway. So what I then did was I took the hire purchase offer, and then I used it to strengthen my credit as well, because I was looking to buy a house at that point. And then I was getting the cash flow at the end of the year of 2019. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna put this money into the car, and then the hire purchase actually ended up costing me less, because what happened was I had given them a massive sum for the deposit. I think I paid about 3,500 for the deposit, and the vehicle cost me about 18,000. So yeah, 18,000, yeah. And then with the credit, it was going to cost me about 21,000, or something like that. So then I paid 3,000 for deposit. I was only borrowing about 17,000, and then I put in another thousands. So I ended up saving about £2,000 of interest, because I was able to put in that lump sum. And then my monthly payments now are like £100 or something. But I prefer doing it this way, because I like to kind of, I wanted to build my credit, and I wanted to make sure that I could buy a house. So that was the cost of me doing that. But it was my personal situation. If I know now what I should have known last year. So thank you for watching the video to this point. Thank you very much for those that have subscribed. Thank you for those that have liked. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you guys. Bye.